And now we see some stuff out here projecting into the lumen. These outward projections are called villi. Okay? We have cut off tips of villi out here as well, and they've started to break down. That's an artifact of trying to cut through a forest of villi. We have some really short villi right here. Okay? We're in the duodenum, so the villi aren't very well developed here. I'm going to go up in power and look at a villus and show you. Now this is an artifact, but this is simple columnar epithelium. And there are only occasional goblet cells. Occasional goblet cells. I'm going to go up to high power. Now, if you recall from when I introduced the mucosal epithelium, I said that once we get to, you guys benefit, because I teach the same lesson the day before you guys, and I forgot to tell them this. You always get the better lecture. Simple columnar epithelium with microvilli. This is a brush border of really tiny, really abundant. There might be 600 microvilli on the surface of every cell. Okay? And then the cells go up and over villi. So we're just seeing this smear here. That's not a mucus smear. Those are actually microvilli.
Sorry, can you point out the villi again versus the microvilli?
Well, the villus, we're going over the top of one right here. We're going over the top of a very short villus right here. So the mucosal epithelium goes over the outside of the villus, and the inside of the villus is filled with lamina propria. The microvilli are features of the cells themselves, okay, at the free surface of the cells. So I'm going to go back down in power. And as we come back down, I'm going to put the whole mucosa in the field of view. Okay? So the mucosal epithelium is at the surface and going over the villi, and we have a confusion of villi up here. But coming down from the surface are intestinal crypts. Now we have some short oblique sections here, some cross sections, and some longer oblique sections. We can't follow all of them right along their long axis. They're packed in here too tightly. So the sublayer here is the lamina propria. But contained within the lamina propria are these intestinal crypts. Okay? And here they're producing an intestinal juice, which has enzymes to digest all food categories. So this is a supplement to the pancreatic juice, and it's not sufficient for full digestion and nutrition of the organism. Here is the undercap of the mucosa, if you will, the muscularis mucosa. Okay? Pretty thin layer of muscle. Now, this muscle layer is what helps contribute to the folding of the mucosa. All right, we get deep to that mucosa, especially to the muscularis mucosa, and we're in the submucosa. Okay? So I'm going to go to scanning power, because if we're in the duodenum, as I told you we are, then we should see something in the submucosa. Now we're at very low power, but do you see this structure here? This is a blood vessel. This structure here and here and here. So let me go, and that's in the submucosa. So let's go up in power. And this is another gland. If you put it side by side with the esophageal gland, you probably couldn't tell the difference. always studied at high power, but a lumen with a lot of cells around it. In fact, at this power, you might confuse it with a gastric gland. But the point is, when we see it in the submucosa, as we do here, in an organ that has villi, it tells us we're in the duodenum, okay, without a doubt. Then we come deep to the submucosa, and again, this is so open because of an artifact. We come deep to that, and here we have a very distinct muscularis externa. We have a very distinct circular layer. We're in a circular section, so we're seeing the long axis of the cells. And our longitudinal layer, we've got a cross-section of, and so we're seeing the short axis of the cells of the longitudinal layer. Okay? Now, we have a lot of disruption of the adventitia here. There's again, visceral fat in this layer. We go off. Okay? So, that is the duodenum. I'm going to contrast that next. I'm going to skip jejunum and go to ileum.